Hi, sweet friends. Denise here from Salvaged Inspirations, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I have a fun makeover for you. It's a thrift makeover, and I'm sharing how I upcycled an old coaster set into these gorgeous DIY marble coasters using a beginner's paint pouring technique. So just let me get set up, and I'll be right back. Let's start. Here's the fun part. Today I'm sharing this 101 beginner-friendly paint pour technique that anyone can do. It will also work on any project. This is a perfect build your confidence project, and I have to admit it turned out so darn cute. I'm upcycling old thrift coasters into gorgeous faux marble coasters, and I can't wait to hear what you think of the new look. So once again, here's the thrift coaster set that I started with. A little dated, but super cute. And I picked them up for $2.99 from my local thrift store. I didn't realize how these roosters, or rooster and chicken, I think it is, were attached that ended up causing a little oopsie, but more on that in a bit. For a beautiful paint pour project, a little cleaning and prep are required. So I started by removing the price tag with my heat gun and then cleaning this set with some white lightning. And I made sure to rinse my sponge and wipe the coasters with clean water to remove any residue before priming. For the primer, I opted to use Slick Stick, which bonds to absolutely anything. You can use this on plastic, glass, ceramics, wood, etc. And it takes the place of sanding. So rather than sand with a light scuff, I did the lazy girl's way and just applied this primer, which worked equally well. Now here's where my little rooster oopsie came in. I applied the Slick Stick and then realized that the rooster image wasn't part of the coaster. It was actually a printed image that was glued on. I don't know how I didn't see this in the first place. For some reason, I just thought this image was actually part of the coaster. So even though I had applied my first coat of primer, I had to wet these coasters down and use a painter's tool to scrape the image off and then re-prime them. A good idea if you're a beginner at paint pouring is to gather all your supplies so you have them all in one area and at hand. So before I started my pour, I gathered my paint colors for the marble, which are cotton white, Baja gray, and gold metallic for a little sparkle. And then to get the flow the paint needs for this finish, I mix it with Floetrol. And for a beginner's paint pour, this cannot be easier. Floetrol is phenomenal. It's generally used to give paint a longer open time to eliminate brush and roller marks, but it works amazing for paint pouring as well. So along with the above, I also made sure to cover and protect my work surface. I do wear gloves for this process to protect my hands because it is really messy. And I also had plastic cups and stir sticks on hand as well. As I mentioned, paint pouring is pretty messy, and if you have something to hold on to your project with, it makes things a whole lot easier. I didn't want to hold on to the sides of these coasters because then my fingerprints would kind of ruin the pour, so I made a makeshift handle out of paper, straws, and duct tape. Now, duct tape works for everything. Isn't duct tape amazing? All I did was I bent the straw and then duct taped it on to the back, and it gave me a little handle to hold on to the coaster. So now for mixing the paints. And to get a really nice flow, I like mixing a 50-50 mix of paint to Floetrol. And I do this in separate cups. So at first you want to keep all your paint colors totally separate. And as I mentioned, Floetrol is an amazing pouring medium, and it's very cost effective. Like, I think this bottle was around $10, and I've had this bottle for years. I've done a good few paint pours with it, and it's lasted me for a long time. So I just eyeballed my 1-to-1 ratio, but you could measure if you feel more comfortable. For instance, if you, the 50-50 ratio, you would add a 1/4 cup of white paint to a 1/4 cup of Floetrol, or a 1/4 cup of gray paint to a 1/4 cup of Floetrol. You just want to keep it an even mix. And the reason for this is because you want the consistency of your paint to still have body to it, but you want it to kind of glide over your project like, say, warmed honey. So you still want it to have some body, but you want to make sure that it flows really nice and easily, which I'll demonstrate in just a moment. So now for the fun part, or at least here's where it gets a little more exciting. I grabbed a new container and started layering the paints to create a design. And I added some white paint, which was my base color. Then I dribbled in some gold and gray paint. And I just did the dribble off my paint stick, off my stir stick, which worked perfectly. If you want a color to be more prominent, in my case, it's the white. That's what you're going to use more of. So after I dribbled in the gray and the gold, I even dribbled in a little more white on top. Here's where it gets so creative and interesting. Once I layered my paint, I poured it out onto a coaster. And here you can see as I'm pouring out, the consistency of my paint is not too thick and it's not too thin. It's kind of the consistency of, say, a warmed up honey. It still has a lot of body to it, but yet it has a lot of superfluid movement to it. And check out how the design changes and moves as you move your project. So you pour it on, then you move it from left to right, and just let that paint glide over your project and do its thing. You can control it to a very small extent because the paint is going to make its own design. Now, if you want the design to go, more to the right or left on your project, you can certainly tilt your project in that direction. But as I mentioned, it is really going to do its own thing. And I just love this aspect of a paint pour. It's so much fun to see what comes out of these designs and what the paint will do. I went ahead and repeated the exact same process for the other 3 coasters and the coaster holder. Even though this is a messy project, I love doing it. I love seeing how these designs come out. So once I finished paint pouring everything, it was time for it to dry. And the dry time will take longer because Floetrol was added. It's best to wait overnight before top coating and protecting your project. I would suggest between 24 and 48 hours is ideal. However, it was Trash to Treasure Tuesday, and I was kind of doing this project at the last minute, so these have not been top coated yet. I will be using Dixie Belle's Easy Peasy Spray On Wax to top coat these coasters, and I'm looking forward to getting a lot of use out of them. So once again, here's the before. And here's the after. I cannot wait to hear what you think of this project and also if you'd give it a try. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It means so much to me that you're supporting my channel and coming and checking these videos out. Thank you once again. If you've gotten any value out of the video, please give it a like. I'd love to hear your comments down below. And if you think that this video might be of interest of any of your friends, family, or acquaintances, please feel free to share. You can also find me over at salvagedinspirations.com, where I have over 500 furniture painting tutorials and DIY projects teaching you how to make your furniture beautiful. Until next time, have a fabulous week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, guys.